Well, that took a long time for me to set up. I was going to do the lapel mic, and we decided since there were so many speakers, we didn't want to pass that thing around because you have to loop it around. So I'm glad you're here today. We definitely have a small crowd, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Where 2 or 3 are gathered.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
So Lori read the book, The Giving Tree, and I'll tell you why we did this. For one, it's got some really awesome messages in it. And no, it is not scriptural, but we can certainly take it and use some things out of it. And we're going to talk about a few things that I see in it. I'll tell you why this book is really cool to me. I got this when I was probably, I guess it was 3rd grade here at Red Lake. And there were a couple of ladies in the church who were helping with the Sunday school and the youth groups. And I believe it was Ann Mackey was one. And then also Marie Graves. Marie Graves is actually the one that gave this to me. And I had just treasured this book. When I first got it, I didn't think anything about it. I was like, oh, it's a book. Yay. I mean, I was 3rd grade. I was thinking I was going to get some sort of a big prize, and I got this book. Well, as I grew, I read it, and I began to see, oh, wow, this is really an awesome book. And I found out worldwide, this is an amazing book. A lot of people know this book. But in case you haven't read it, you heard it today, and that was important. We wanted you to do that and know what the story is before we talk about it. It's so funny, I keep this book too. I love all my children's books from my childhood. That was when I was first learning how to write cursive. And I think I wrote in it one time and then I erased it later when I was thinking, I'm better at this now, I'll erase it and write it better. But so I treasure this book for many reasons. And you know, I don't think Shel Silverstein meant to make the messages or put the messages in there. He might have. I don't really know what his intent was. But I can tell you that there are many lessons that we can learn from the book. So in the book, you have 2 main characters. And the title of the book is The Giving Tree. So the word giving obviously jumps out at you. And obviously the Bible has multiple scriptural references of giving being a good thing. In Acts, it's more blessed to give than to receive. In Luke, give and it will be given to you. It'll be poured over. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. In Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And of course, we just finished a few sermons on giving. That's not where I'm headed with this, okay? Not that I don't think the messages were good as far as giving, but that's too obvious. What I want us to look at is the 2 main characters. We have the tree and we have the boy. And personally, a lot of times I feel like the tree, okay? I feel like I give all my time, all my attention, all my energy, all my love, all my apples, all my branches, all my leaves, everything. And I finally go, you know, I'm giving, it's still not enough. I still don't feel like I'm giving enough. And it depends on, you know, the situation. You do that at work, you do that in your home, you do that with your friends, you do that at church, you know, and you can feel like you're the tree. What's that country song? Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. Well, sometimes I feel like the bug. And that to me kind of is like the tree. So you're giving, and then eventually you just feel like this sad little stump, you know? But that being said, when you think about it, it's kind of like you're really, when you're talking about being the tree, it's almost like you're going, oh, well, look at all the things that I'm doing, and yet I'm not feeling good about it. So when I think about that, then I go, wait a minute, no, I'm not really the tree. No, I'm the boy. And whenever I think about that, I think about how do I behave? And yes, this is a child in the story, and he grows to an adult, of course. But we see very childlike behaviors. Guess what? We're all still children. It doesn't matter if you're 2 or 92. Amen. We're all still children. And of course we're children of God, but we all behave like children throughout our lives. Amen. And of course, when I look at that book and I think about that boy, and he goes to the tree and he wants this. And the tree says, well, I don't have that, but here, let me give you this. And he says, he comes back later. He ignores the tree. He doesn't even say thank you to the tree. He just comes up and says, I want. Tree gives it to him. He walks off, uses it, never even comes back and says, hey, thanks. He just comes back again when he's out of whatever it is that he was using. So he comes back and he comes back and he comes back. And I think we all do that. I definitely do that. I do that to God. So when I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about the two characters, I definitely identify more with the boy and the way that he comes back over and over and over again asking, not thanking, not even recognizing what all he's been given, but asking for more. And so when I look at that child that turns into a man, and the things that he does, I think, wow, that's me. And the tree is God. You know, I demand all these things from him. I expect him. When I call on him, I expect him to answer. And I want him to answer the way I want him to answer. And sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he gives me something else instead of that. And I don't take the time always to recognize that sometimes those things that I asked for that I didn't get, you know, that unanswered prayer thing, well, I did get an answer. It's just not exactly what I thought. And I sometimes don't take the time to thank him even for those things. He always answers me, though. Always, no matter what. I don't think the boy really understood what was going on. I think he looked at that tree as, you know, this is a place I can go. I can get what I need. I don't have to stay here and visit. I don't have to really talk. I can just come and get what I need and I can leave. And, you know, I think that we do that, like I said, even as an adult. And I definitely do that with God. But when we think about the tree and we think about how it ended in the story, the whole stump, sad little stump, which is trying to be happy because the boy came back. Awesome, the boy came back, yay! But he's still a stump, you know, he's just left as a stump. The interesting thing is it doesn't tell us the rest of the story. It seems like that's the end, but it's really not. And thank God we have a book that tells us the end.
Amen.
Because when we talk about the tree, there are a couple of things that I want us to think about. A tree has been used in multiple different ways in Scripture. But basically, in this book and in our Bible, Jesus gave us the chance, God gave us the chance to sit and rest. The tree was there from the beginning to the end of this man's life, this boy's life. And no matter what happened, no matter what the kid asked for, no matter when he came back, how long it was between coming back, there was the tree, always there, always ready to answer, no matter what. And we don't really know how the story started. We don't really know the relationship here, but I'm imagining, since the story didn't tell us this, I'm imagining that at some point this little boy is out playing around, living his life, and he discovers this tree, and the relationship begins to bloom. And I picture our Christian lives being like that. At some point, we're introduced to God in some way, and we decide to have a relationship with him. And we play, and we dabble, and we do these things, and we ask, and he gives, and we leave him for a while, and we come back over, and we say, okay, God, I need this next, you know. And so all throughout our lives, we do that. The thing is, the tree is always there, excited when you get there. So it doesn't really matter how long you've been gone or if you've done anything good while you've been gone. The tree's still excited that you're there. The tree was there when the man needed a place to sit and rest. And that's exactly what God wants for us. He wants us to be able to come and sit and rest while we're here in this body. He also wants it when we leave this body into eternity. He wants us to find a place of rest in him. Mm-hmm. God used a tree to illustrate so many things, but the two most important ones, two very, very special trees, the one that made the manger and the one that made the cross. Mm-hmm. And my prayer for you today is that you will find a place of rest in God, not only for right now, but for the rest of your eternity. And if you haven't found that, we hope over the next few minutes you'll have a time to think about that. I look around the room and I see many, many beautiful Christian souls in here. So I believe that what we're about to do is just going to speak to your heart because you already have that relationship. But if you don't, this is it. This is the time.
Amen.
You may walk out of here and not come back.
Amen.
This could be it. And so we want you to know, as a group, as a church body, as a group of believers, that the Lord is with us everywhere. And no matter if it's been 10 years since you talked to Him today.
Amen. Amen.
So Lee and I set about this in the way that we do things, and we're a little off in the way we do things. And we chose to not really talk about it, to let the Lord kind of lead us through this. So we got together a couple of times and ended up leaving and not really wanting to bounce ideas off of each other because we just wanted to kind of listen to what God had to share with you guys and with us through this process. But it was interesting because everything that God spoke to us about was about a tree. So obviously that's what He wanted to talk about today. He wanted you to hear. But something, that kind of resonated with me is we're coming upon Labor Day. And we've been talking about tithing, again, not taken away from the messages. Tithing is very important. We talked about tithing with our money, tithing with our talents, tithing with our time. And it is vital that you do that to participate in a relationship with Jesus Christ. It's vital that you tithe in whatever fashion that God is calling you to do. But as we approach Labor Day, it's just a good day. If you aren't off on Labor Day, pick a different day that you're off, but take that opportunity to think to yourself about the things you labor after. We labor after all kinds of things. Some things are very important, things we have to labor after. Our children, our spouse, our home, food, shelter, clothing, all of those things. But process what you're laboring after. Just take a moment, in your quiet time, kind of get away from the world, away from your family, and just process what you're laboring after. And if it makes you tired, I ask you to reflect on whether or not that is something that God is asking you to labor after. There's a difference in, I'm tired after a 12-hour workday. I put in a 12-hour workday to support my family. That's a wonderful reason to be tired. But I'm talking about a mental, emotional tiredness, not a physical tiredness. We are supposed to take care of our families. We are supposed to take care of each other in our family, in our church. But if there's something that you're laboring after that makes you tired spiritually, I ask you to challenge yourself and talk to God about whether or not that's something He's asking you to run after. In Matthew 11:28, a very famous, popular verse, if you will, in the Bible that people enjoy is, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So just, if you really kind of dive into that verse a little bit, all of us labor in different ways, okay? But if we're laboring after what Jesus would have us to labor after, we won't be tired spiritually. He will give us the strength and the energy and the desire and the drive to do those things. If something that you are focused on that's taking your attention today is making you emotionally tired and you cannot rest in your spirit, then you're probably, not judging, I have my own issues, but you're probably running after the wrong things. Okay, so I just ask you to think about that. Another verse that I really enjoy that the Lord wanted me to share with you today, again, another popular verse. "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint." And I think about that, why God made us that promise. That was a promise made in the Old Testament before He even gave us Jesus Christ. But He knew He was going to give us Jesus Christ, but we didn't know that. He made us that promise, and then Jesus Himself made us promises about laboring and rest. So I just ask, again, that you take a moment. We're going to take a quiet moment here today as an invitation. Those that are able and want to participate, we're going to take a moment at the altar, give you an opportunity to think about those things that are draining you emotionally, just like in the book where we drain the tree, and then eventually he comes back and realizes this is a place of rest. So during this time, we're going to show a video and play a song. I want you to really process the words, think about it. I have nails here that I'm going to hand out as you come up. If you want to, it's optional. but we would like for you to join us at the altar, lights off, just a little bit of quiet time for you to think about the things that are pulling you away and pulling you down emotionally and spiritually. And this would be an opportunity to nail that to the cross. You should leave here feeling revitalized, energized. You know, you should have peace in your spirit about where you're headed. And if you aren't, there'll be someone here that could pray with you. But just remember that moving forward in your quiet prayer time in the mornings or in the evenings, whichever time you take to do that, you should leave a prayer feeling good. And not because warm and fuzzy kind of good. You should leave a prayer, if you're not at the end of your prayer feeling good after you've talked to God, you probably need to spend a little bit more time there. God will lead you in the right direction. He will give you the rest you need. While you're busy working for Him, you can still feel rested. But if you are feeling that all you do is labor and you're heavy laden, we might be focusing on the wrong thing. So I'm going to give you a nail as you come up, and I ask you that you nail those things to the cross that are bringing you down, and you leave here feeling good about your place with the Lord.